we'll be talking about the International Women's Day. Women are actually the salt of the world, like we said previously. Without women, so many things may not be put in place, and that is why we are going to be having some discussions about the International Women's Day that will be celebrated tomorrow, and a bit of it will continue on Monday. And for the discussion this very lovely morning, we have Dr. Adetola Ariyike Salau. She is a special advisor to the Governor of Kwara State on Education, Policy Formulation, and Human Capital Development. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Carol.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am.
Thank you.
How many thanks for having you on the show today to celebrate with the salt of the world. That has to be women. I believe we are sort of the world, so
Yeah.
we'll have a glad tidings of discussing about women today with you. Fatih, welcome our guest.
Eka Roma.
My Yoruba is dear.
No problem. Eka Roma. Eka bosuri ètò. Fún àǹfààní àwa tí a bá ṣe ń darapọ̀ mọ́ wa lórí ètò lówùrọ̀ yìí, abala àlejò wa òun náà ni òkun súnkàn. Níbi tí a ó ti mọ̀ ṣe àtàkùrọ̀sọ pẹ̀lú àlejò wa lówùrọ̀ yìí. Nǹkan tí a fẹ́ máa gbéyẹ̀wò lénìí, ó náà ni àyájọ́ ọjọ́ àwa obìnrin lágbàáyé eléyìí tí yóò wáyé lọ́la tí a ó sì máa ṣe ayẹyẹ rẹ̀ títí di ọjọ́ Monday àbí jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí a ṣe mọ̀ pé àwa obìnrin àwa ni iyọ̀ ayé, láìsí obìnrin àwọn ọkùnrin náà mọ̀ pé ayé máa díẹ̀ bákan, bọ́lọ́run ṣètò náà nìyẹn. Àlejò wa lówùrọ̀ lórí ètò àwọn náà ni Dr. Adetola Ariyike Salau. Ẹ káàbọ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí. Yes, ma.
All right, thank you very much, Doctor. Let's start this way with gender equity. It is no news that even international-wise contests, presidential-wise and all that, we've seen women coming out to contest for high positions in the country, not only in Nigeria. Let's start with gender equity. What is your take on this particular issue, gender equity?
I have a lot to say about gender equity.
Right.
And the key thing for me is the fact that one of my favorite quotes I like to repeat all the time is that women are actually the real architects of society. Right. It's a quote by Harriet Beecher Stowe, a slave. Sorry, no, a woman's activist in the US who drove a lot around equity for women. And when I think about that word architect, what is an architect? A builder. What are women? We are builders in our homes. I always tell people that for the most part, I say for the most part, your first teacher is your mother. Think about it. Walking, how you drink a cup, how you move around, it's your mother. And we underplay how important that is, because that is a foundation for every child. That is a foundation for all of us, for the most part. And beyond that, we are 50% of society. If you are looking at the composition of anything, if you take away 50% of it, it's pretty much gone. It's not, the building, whatever it is, cannot really stand. So we're an important, very, very, very indelible part of society. And we need to make everybody understand that what we contribute is really key. It's really, really, really key.
Okay.
So that's what equity means to me.
Yes. Thank you so much. Meaning that there's nothing that you want to say a man is doing to make society great, that women have not been contributing.
Women are a huge part of it. In fact, I like to laugh when people say, oh, she's a stay-at-home mom. But think about it. She's staying at home. What is she doing? She's taking care of the children. She's making sure that the home is balanced. She's making sure that the husband is on point forever for whatever he's going to go and face. So she's actually contributing a huge part of her own sweat equity to make sure that whatever he's doing is done right.
Okay.
So there's no such thing as the woman is just in the background. No, 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 no.
Okay.
All women contribute valuably, immensely to society.
Okay.
So yes, yes.
Thank you so much. Now, if you want to look at the global challenge that women face these days, despite what you just mentioned as the greater contribution of women to homes and societal development, a lot of challenges still posed to women. So I don't think we can tackle this to really make women what the world will accept as a vital forge on.
You know, I was thinking about that when I was coming down today.
Okay.
And I mean, it's no secret. When you were introducing me, my role is in education, and I actually happen to be an educator. And yes, I believe education is really, really critical. So for me, I believe that education is a critical catalyst in us advancing gender equality. Because in the classroom, if women are equipped and empowered, then they're able to contribute all that they have, which actually creates a more viable society. And I believe that this starts by us closing gender gaps in certain fields. Particularly, yes, I'm very passionate about this. One of the things I'm going to go to today is talk about this. Particularly in STEM fields, as research, science, things that help society in innovation, developing, moving forward, progressing. Us doing things like that. And also making sure that our girls are educated, particularly in places where they've been relegated to the back.
Where education is not that taken seriously.
Yes, it's not taken seriously. Then also eliminating stereotypes around gender. My background is in science and engineering, and I experienced this personally when I was young. The fact that they always tell us, why are you in engineering? They tell us if you're going to get married, it's going to be hard for you to get married. How are you going to be able to have children, balance having your children and being on the field? We need to eliminate those stereotypes.
The stereotype thinking.
Yes, we need to do that. And then, of course, we need to have more women as leaders. So when I see myself, like me being in this role, it is important so that other girls can see that it is possible for them to be leaders. They can be politicians, and they can contribute to creating a better society for all of us. So it's really important. Then also providing safe and inclusive environments for them. And also improving their access to digital and literacy skills. I spoke about that when I was here on Tuesday. I spent a lot of time talking about that over and over. And then, of course, creating and allocating sufficient resources for our girls when they're young. And also making sure that we are monitoring and creating avenues for more progress,
opportunities around such for them. All right, we'll go back to more questions on English. Let me give you Yoruba the line.
Okay. Well done, ma. Eku abo sórí ètò eku asutunu. Ṣé máa gbìyànjú àti sọ díẹ̀ díẹ̀ fúnra yín àbí kí n máa ràn yín lọ́wọ́?
You will help me, please.
Ó dá ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò lẹ́ǹkan sí. Yàrá lé nǹkan tí Doctor ń sọ fún wa látàárọ̀ lórí ètò yìí náà ni wípé gẹ́gẹ́ bí a sì sọ fún wa pé obìnrin ni iyọ̀ ayé, àwa náà ni iyọ̀ ayé lóòótọ́, ṣùgbọ́n ó ṣe ní láàánú pé ní àwùjọ tí a bára wa ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn èèyàn wọ́n máa ń rí bí ẹni pé obìnrin ò jẹ́ nǹkan kan ní èyí tí kò sì yẹ kó jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ nítorí wípé láìsí obìnrin ẹ ó rí pé gbígbà tí ilé ò ní ìpìlẹ̀ ni ilé tí olóyìnbó ń pè ní foundation tí kò bá sí foundation lára lé ẹ ó rí pé irú ilé bẹ́ẹ̀ kò ní dúró bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni ó sì jẹ́ wípé ilé tí kò bá sí obìnrin irú ilé bẹ́ẹ̀ kò kí ń pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ máa ń wò pé àkí lóbìnrin ṣe wọ́n máa kàn jókòó sílé náà ni kò sí nǹkan tó ń mú kò sí nǹkan tó ń ṣe á rí wípé jókòó sílé gan ó ju ẹni tó jáde síta lọ nítorí ibi tóbìnrin sì jókòó sílé ó máa tọ́jú ilé nígbà tí ọkùnrin bá ń bọ̀ tó bá má lè jò wọlé kí lè dùn rí á tọ́jú ọmọ kí ọmọ yìí lè dùn rí kó dẹ̀ lè lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ á tọ́jú ọkọ kí ọkọ yìí tó bá tiẹ̀ ní ìṣòro kan tó ń gbé bọ̀ láti ilé ẹ̀mí ẹ̀ máa balẹ̀ pé tí mo bá délé tí mo bá bá ìyàwó mi gbogbo ìṣòro mi yìí tí ò bá tiẹ̀ yanjú tán yóò yanjú débì kan kí a sì rí wípé àhàtà àwọn ọmọbìnrin wa nù ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ilé mi máa tẹ̀ sọ pé obìnrin ẹ̀kọ́ wọn kò nídìí ẹ máa jẹ́ kán lọ léèwé púpọ̀ wọ́n máa kúkú lọ lé ọkọ náà ni wọ́n máa lọ jókòó síbì kan láti máa dáná rárá o kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀ o ká rí wípé a fún àwọn ọmọbìnrin wa ní ẹ̀kọ́ tó péye nítorí wípé obìnrin ẹyọ kan odidi generation kan ni wọ́n tí a bá rí pa fún àwọn ọmọbìnrin wa ní ẹ̀kọ́ tó péye a rí pé wọ́n lè fún àwùjọ padà tí àwùjọ fi ní ọ̀la tó dáa kí a sì rí wípé àtàwọn dànù táwa wò pé ilé yìí kò ṣiṣẹ́ obìnrin eléyìí níṣẹ́ obìnrin kódà àwọn ẹ̀ka kan wà nínú àwọn ẹ̀ka ìwé wa sẹ́kùn wò pé tóbìnrin bá wá lọ ṣerú nǹkan báyìí báwo ló ṣe fẹ́ kó papọ̀ pẹ̀lú pé yóò tọ́jú ọmọ yóò tọ́jú ilé kóbìnrin wá jẹ́ architect àbí kóbìnrin jẹ́ engineer àbí kò yẹ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ tí a bá wà rí pé ní àwùjọ wa àti ní àwọn obìnrin tó ń jẹ́ architect àti ní àwọn obìnrin tó ń jẹ́ engineer tí wọ́n dẹ̀ ń tọ́jú ilé wọn tí wọ́n ń tún gbogbo ilé wọn ṣe then obìnrin ni eléyìí tó ṣe pàtàkì jù ni pé obìnrin ni olùkọ́ àkọ́kọ́ fún àwọn ọmọ nítorí tẹ́ bá rí tí ọmọ bá ti dáyé ọ̀dọ̀ yẹ́ láti kọ́ pé báyìí lèèyàn náà ṣe ń fi nǹkan sẹ́nu tá a fi rí gbé mi ọ̀dọ̀ yẹ́ láti kọ́ pé wàá sún síwájú ni wàá fi rákò ọ̀dọ̀ yẹ́ láti kọ́ pé báyìí ni wàá ṣiṣẹ́ so obìnrin ni ó jẹ́ olùkọ́ àkọ́kọ́ fún àwọn ọmọ nítorí náà ká má ta obìnrin dànù kí a lè bá ní ọjọ́ ọ̀la tó péye.
Thank you, Fatih. Yes, I guess having eschewed the virtues of women importance in society molding and of course bringing or molding of homes together, I want to point out to the fact of the barriers that a lot of women are facing today in making their voice heard. So how do you think this particular phenomenon can be worked upon to give more women more voice in the international scene and even nationally?
You know, the theme for this year is accelerate action.
Exactly.
And when I think of that word accelerate means speed.
Projecting
and then you push
forward.
And then action. Action means you're carrying out things, you're working, you're pushing, you're driving. So for me, this year, what we need to drive on, what we need to push on, this year, because I listed them out here, is for us to start thinking about what are the ways that we have these stereotypes for women. How do we start breaking down these stereotypes? We need to start listening and making sure that we allow women to speak out about their own experiences and understand that their voices count. And then in our workplaces, we need to make sure that we create inclusive environments.
Those that fall in the working class.
Yes, for us to do that.
Right.
So I mentioned in our workplaces, making sure they're inclusive, removing our biases, and also making more policies around women having equality. And then also beyond that is also creating more resources towards women, because a major issue for women is empowerment. If you look at what is hindering women is being economically strong, being able to have money to make decisions, to carry. Yes. So money is a serious issue. And when we now talk about money, another thing that creates this problem is that women, again, I'm coming back to education, is that they are not empowered with the right skills from the first place. So making sure that we actually have fantastic training, educational programs for girls, so they are on par with our young men, will really go a long way for our women.
From the young girls before they become an adult, that we should take this way. Now, let me now narrow our women inclusion.
In fact, sorry, I wanted to say something that is real key. And it's not just here, because a lot of people just think that we have these issues here in Nigeria or in Africa. It's actually across the world. And this is an important, this is an important figure that I need to mention. That a huge part, like I mentioned, and I want to stress it again, a huge part of women not being equal is that they are not economically empowered. And it's so bad that actually women earn 23% less than men across the world. So it's not an African thing. It's not something that we're also experiencing here in Nigeria. It's across the world. Women earn 23% less. Let me break that down with money. Let's say we have 100 naira, and that man is earning 100 naira. That means instead of a woman earning 100 naira, the woman is earning 78 naira instead. That is a huge, no, not 78, 77. That is a huge disparity. It's unjust, because they are actually carrying out the same task. So why should she be earning less than the man? And you see, that 23 naira might seem like it's not a big deal, but by the time you start multiplying it and continuing down the line, you realize that she's being shortchanged, because it means she can buy less, she can do less with that money, and she's getting less value for the work that she's carrying out. So that's why being economically empowered.
Whereas our work responsibility wouldn't be minimized due to how much she takes.
Yes. So that's why I wanted to stress that and make sure that I use that example and also use that figure, because there's something about hearing numbers that brings it home. If I had just said words, it would not be the same, but hearing those numbers,
really
yes, it sinks in,
well.
yes.
Very well.
All right, thank you very much, Doctor. Now let's talk about some of the factors that affect the development and empowerment of women in the country.
We mentioned we mentioned quite a bit of them. The fact that our girls are not suitably educated, lack of inclusive environments for them, the fact that their pays, they are not economically empowered. What else did I mention? The very, very big ones. Oh yes, attitudes, gender bias towards women. I mentioned that. That is very, very important. You see, that gender bias, unfortunately for us, it also comes out in really negative ways. Sexual harassment, violence against women, and these are things that create trauma, and then the women also, how they react and how they're able to project their best selves forward, it becomes limited. As we all know, anybody that suffers any form of their rights being being a person, yes, being infringed upon, it affects you adversely. It affects you being the best of yourself. So yes, these are things that affect our women, and these are things that we need to address.
But why do we have so much stigmatization when it comes to women, especially in positions that people feel it's men, it's mainly for the male gender? Why do we have so much stigmatization when it comes to women attaining this particular position? And what do you think are some of the things that can be done to help, you know, this gender equity thing we are all talking about?
It's cultural bias, it's mindset. Until we start raising our boys and explaining to them and letting them understand that it is wonderful, the differences that we have, and the fact that we complement each other. We all have different strengths, and in fact, I'm going to have to go there. This whole thing of stereotyping that women are emotional, men are logical, it's not true. We all are human, we all are emotional, we all have emotions. The way we express, the way we have the ranges of the emotions, they change. In fact, there are some women you'll be surprised that are quote unquote even more logical. That's the way they do things. Very strict. Yes, than men. So we should stop putting people in those boxes and saying this is what men are, these are what women are. We should allow the fact that we all have these different ranges, and there are wonderful things that we all bring to the table. For example, the way, for the most part, because I'm going to say for the most part, it's not always that way. For the most part, the way we have been setting up our homes, where the mother is the one who nurtures the children, the father is the one who mets out discipline. Okay, this is what you should do, this is how it should be. There are pluses and minuses from each of those. The mother is one, okay, it's all right, it's okay. That is something that brings out the child's, okay, I'm comforted, I'm loved. Then the father saying, okay, this is how we do it, I'm the one who brings this to you. That also makes the child feel safe and secure. So why do we not see that each of these complementing one another, than thinking that one is better than the other? No, none of them are better than the other. They both have pluses. And sometimes people actually switch. I'm always telling people that my first teacher actually was my dad, because my mom was working on her PhD, her master's and her PhD, so she was very busy. So it was my father that taught me how to count, how to read. Yes, and there was nothing wrong with that. He was the one that changed me and carried me around with him, because he was also working on his PhD, so he had a lot of time. And there's nothing wrong with that. It actually made us very close. May he so rest in peace. Till today, I still talk about him. Why? Because we were very close. So we should stop making these hard and fast stereotypes, and that is what is creating these biases.
So many barriers.
Yes, barriers. Yes, where now we are thinking that, oh, women have to be this, men have to be this. No, no, no. If I see my young, for example, when my son was younger and he liked to play with pots and he liked to play with cooking, I was actually very elated. I said, okay, this one, there's not too much. Yes, I said I don't have to do too much. That means this one will already join me in the kitchen and be able to cook for himself. And guess what? Now he's about to cross over from being a teenager to being a young adult. Thank God. And he cooks for himself. He's able to take care of himself. He's able to be independent. Why? Because when I saw that he was playing with that, I did stop him and say, oh, no, that's for girls. Don't do that. I encouraged it. I said, oh, okay, you like this? What about if you try this? And then when I started cooking in the kitchen, I would bring him in and say, okay, why don't you try preparing this one?
Sure.
What about these different spices? What do you think if you try this? In fact, I tell people now that he's the one, when we are cooking in the kitchen, he's the one who makes sure that...
He dictates what you...
Oh my God, he dictates how it should taste and what it should taste like. And he will bring the spices and say, okay, I want this much salt, I want this much pepper in there. He's the one.
That's interesting for the boys to do such. Okay, Fatih had the line for the Yoruba version.
Kó àtúntò látàárọ̀ lẹ́ńkọ́ sí yàrá lé fún àǹfààní àwa tí ó jẹ́ pé Yorùbá ni a fẹ́ gbọ́. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹ ṣe mọ̀ wípé obìnrin ní iyọ̀ ayé òun náà ni nǹkan tí à ń gbé yẹ̀wò lórí ètò lówùúrọ̀ yìí. Ní eléyìí tí wọ́n sì ń sọ fún wa wípé ẹ jẹ́ kí a tẹnumọ́ ká sì rí dájú torí wọ́n ní iṣu àtẹnumọ́rọ̀ kì í jóná. Ó ní wípé kí a má ya obìnrin sọ́tọ̀, ká má rí wọn bí wípé àwọn ni ẹni lọ́lọ́run fi wá ṣe rárá o. Ẹni kọ́, gẹ́gẹ́ bí a sọ fún wa pé àwa ni iyọ̀ ayé. Ní eléyìí tí wọ́n sì sọ fún wa pé ní àyájọ́ obìnrin àgbáyé ti ọdún yìí pé nǹkan tí ó jẹ́ kókó bẹ̀ náà ni wípé kí ìjọba àti gbogbo aráàlú àti àwa tí a jẹ́ ọlọ́dàáni náà kí a rí wípé ohun obìnrin jáde, nǹkan tí ó wà nínú wa tá a fẹ́ ká rí sọ, kí sì ká sọ lásán ká sọ kán gbọ́ náà ni. Ẹ rí pé ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ilé àwọn òbí mi máa ń tọ́ ọmọkùnrin yàtọ̀ sí ọmọbìnrin. Wọ́n máa ń rí bí ẹni wípé ọmọkùnrin àwọn tó pàtàkì ju ọmọbìnrin lọ. Wọ́n máa ń wò pé ìwọ obìnrin tó bá ti parí ìwé 6 ìwọ sì lè jókòó náà sórí ilé ìlọkùnrin jẹ́ kó lọ rárá o. Kó má rí bẹ́ẹ̀, ká má sì rí pé ká má fi obìnrin ṣe ẹrú ọkùnrin. Torí ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ilé wọ́n máa gbà ọkùnrin lélẹ̀ ìwọ jókòó, ìwọ ò lè ṣe nǹkan, obìnrin ló máa fọṣọ, obìnrin ló máa fabọ́, obìnrin ló máa gbálẹ̀, obìnrin ló máa àánú. Kò yẹ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Ká rí wípé àwọn méjèèjì ran ara wọn lọ́wọ́ so that wọ́n bá dàgbà tí wọ́n bá di ẹni ara wọn, tí ọkùnrin bá tiẹ̀ fẹ́yàwó á lè mọ̀ wípé nínú ilé tí mo ti jáde tóbìnrin bá ṣe ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ náà lọkùnrin ń ṣe. Irú ọkùnrin bẹ́ẹ̀ kò ní rí ìyàwó ẹ̀ bí ẹrú, kò ní rí bí wípé kò jẹ́ nǹkan kan yẹn kàn jókòó síbẹ̀ yẹn. Á tún wá rí pé nínú à ń tọ́mọ a máa ń rí bí pé bàbá ni ó ṣe jù rárá o. Tí bàbá bá jáde lọ tó wá nǹkan tá a jẹ lọ tó wá sọ pé báyìí ni kẹ̀ṣẹ̀ rìn, ẹ rí pé tí ọmọ bá ní ìṣòro àbíkẹ́ ó ṣe nǹkan tí ò dá tí bàbá ẹ̀ bàbá wí tó bá wá sọ́dọ̀ ìyá máa wò pé nǹkan tó ṣe yẹn náà wọ́n náà máa ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ mọ́ lọ́jọ́ mi. So ọmọ yìí máa rí pé nǹkan tí mo ṣe ò dáa ni, kì í ṣe pé yóò wá rí bí ẹni pé wọ́n yàn mí jẹ. Á rí pé méjèèjì yìí ó fara pẹ́ra wọn, yóò sì jẹ́ kó ọmọ yìí ní fọkànbalẹ̀ pé ibi tí mo wà yìí, ibi tí mo ti lọ́jọ́ ọ̀la tó dáa ni. Nítorí ẹ má ìka ta àwọn ọmọbìnrin wa dànù. Ẹ jẹ́ ká rí wọn bí Ọlọ́run ṣe dá wa. Ẹ jẹ́ ká rí wọn bíi pé àwa náà ni iyọ̀ ayé bí Ọlọ́run ṣe pé nítorí láìsí obìnrin gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo ṣe sọ fún wa, ẹ rí pé kò lè sílé bí ìgbà tí a bá ní a fẹ́ kọ́lé tí kò wá sí ìpìlẹ̀ tí olóyìnbó ń pè ní foundation. Bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni tí kò bá sóbìnrin nínú ilé, bẹ́ẹ̀ ni irú ilé bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe máa ń jẹ́. Kí a sì rí wípé a tún máa ń rí bí pé tí àwùjọ kan bá wà obìnrin ò lè jó lórí ibẹ̀. Rárá, kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ obìnrin míì wà tó jẹ́ wípé tí ẹ bá gbé làákàyè wọn jókòó, tí ẹ bá kó ọkùnrin 10 jọ, tẹ́ bá pa làákàyè ọkùnrin 10 ipò, kò tí ì tó obìnrin yìí nìkan. Ṣùgbọ́n nígbà tó jẹ́ pé àti síwájú láti wá ṣe, báwo la ṣe máa mọ̀ nǹkan tó wà lórí ẹ̀, báwo ni làákàyè ṣe máa wúlò fáyé, báwo ló ṣe máa mú nǹkan tí ó wúlò fún ọjọ́ ọ̀la àti ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ọmọ kéèké jáde. Ká rí pé àǹtí wọn síwájú, ká jẹ́ kán so lórí ibi tó bá ti yẹ kán so lórí, ká jẹ́ kí òun wọn jáde níbi tó bá ti yẹ kó jáde, kí á sì jẹ́ kí wọ́n ibi tó bá ti yẹ ká pọ́n wọn lé ká fún wọn ní àpọ́nlé wọn, ibi tó bá ti yẹ ká jẹ́ kí wọ́n níyì ká jẹ́ kí wọ́n níyì bẹ́ẹ̀ kí ọjọ́ ọ̀la wa àti tàwọn ọmọ wa kó lè bá dá.
Thank you. The next person I want us to look at, we've known what are the
weapons that we need to make our women's voice to be heard. Now, there are already some women that are, of course, that have already championed this particular breach, and of course, already they are representing us well, and some are still aspiring. So, what are the ways you think those that have already crossed the breach can represent us well and make us more proud than we are now?
There's a quote that I like, one of my favorite quotes. I'm trying to remember it clearly. It has to do with standing on the shoulders of the giants who have gone before you.
Okay.
That for you to climb to that height, you have to climb on the shoulders of somebody that has gone before you, so that you can move forward, you can progress. I'm saying that because one lesson that I've learned, is that there are always, we should stop thinking that we are in isolation. We're not. We learn from other people who have gone before us. We learn from their mistakes. We learn from the lessons that they've had. We learn from the positive things that they've done. And guess what? It's like also going on a road. Have you noticed that if people keep walking on a path, even if it was filled with grass and all kind of stones, by the time they keep walking on that path for at least 3 months to 6 months, it will be smooth.
Not deviated.
Yes, it will be smooth because people have kept on walking on that path before you. That's the same thing. Those other people who have gone before, they are examples for us. They tell us, okay, you can try this, avoid this. This is how you should go. And then they make it easier every single time. Remember, we're walking on that path. It's getting smoother. Every single time they keep advancing, they keep trying. The path will keep getting smoother, and you too, you will know, okay, let me avoid this deviation over here, let me avoid this over there. It helps us. I see each of us as a bridge of sisters. That's the way I like to look at it, of sisters, sisterhood. And the more we are working together like this, the more of us can walk on those paths that we've walked before, and they won't fall, see, because we are all connected like that, and they walk across that. That is what I see, and I hope for us to do for the young girls who are coming behind us. I am quite candid when I go out to speak to young girls, when I talk to them one-on-one, when I mentor them, or even informally when I just start having conversations with them. I own up to my mistakes. I own up to my responsibilities, which are other people taught me, they helped me, they made me see that it's possible.
To shape you to what you are today.
Yes. So it's my own duty. To me, it's my responsibility to also help these other young ones to also learn from the mistakes, whether it's personal, whether it's in career, whether it's finance, so that they also don't make the mistakes.
In any given opportunity.
Yes.
All right. I think we've mentioned something about equity, and there is something we call equality too. I'm sure this kind of sounds very similar, but they're very different. Can you help us to differentiate and give us more explanations when it comes to equality? I believe we have been speaking more about equity before now.
Okay. That's a very good one. I like that. Yes, there is a difference. Equality. These two cups are equal and they should be treated the same. And whatever I use this one for, I should make sure I use this one the same way. So they should be balanced. That is equality. Equity is making sure that I create the opportunity for both of them to be equal. So I'm a teacher. I like to break it down. I like to break it down.
You need to break it down.
Yes. I started giving you definitions and
you need to create a space for them to be equal.
That's right.
If you want to do that, how do you tend to implement such
policies? Like I mentioned about the pay. Why should a man earn 100 naira and I earn 77 naira? It doesn't make sense.
Because
maybe the belief the man does more of, the
that's still a stereotype and thinking that we talked about before.
And the irony is women actually work very hard. In fact, sometimes women work harder than men, because first of all, we are also trying to fight. Oh my God, that stereotype. I don't want people to think that I'm less.
Show me.
Yes, no, not even that. I don't want them to think that I'm less. So you even do more. And a lot of times, because women are responsible and that quote unquote nurturing, that my children, I'm feeding my children, that's burden. And let me not call it burden. that sense of duty, there you go, that sense of responsibility, I have to feed my children, they will put in even more that I cannot lose this job. I have to make sure that my children are eating. I cannot leave this job. Whatever it takes, I must make sure my children are okay. Women carry that. They wear it. Around, I'm serious. I don't think I've met too many women that don't have that. Even when they're single, they start preparing themselves. By the time they have children, trust me, they are carrying it. Because they are thinking food. That's the basic thing that is in their head. Food for that child. You know why they're thinking food for that child? They're walking through that door. What's the first thing their child does? They hold their dress, they skirt, whatever it is that we are wearing. Mommy, I'm hungry. Mommy, food. Because you know that voice, that somebody is going to come and hold you and say food. And you know you cannot quiet them. You can't quiet children. Particularly food. You see, you can quiet them about some things. We see that food, you can't quiet them. Mommy, I'm hungry. Mommy, I'm hungry. Mommy, I want something to eat. And when you are eating, that food that is their own. So you must quiet them. You must quiet them so that they can eat, so that you can eat, or else you are not eating.
Sometimes you only eating what you want alone.
Most moms, you know, tend to prepare food for their children.
It's true.
And taking the leftover.
You have to.
Sometimes
you have to.
You want to eat.
They are first.
The leftover.
They are first. You cannot eat and your child is hungry. Yes. It does not work unless you are this unfeeling, which, like I said, that it's very, very rare to meet those kind of women. I'm sure there are some, but it's very rare. Exactly. Even a woman who is mentally, trust me, she's going to put that food before her child first, before herself. So that's why I know that women put in not 100%. They put in 105, 150, 200%, whatever work you give them, because they know my child must eat. That child must be silenced. If I don't silence that child by eating, that means I cannot have peace.
That spirit in their hearts.
Yes.
I think you have the line now.
Ẹ ṣe ohun ẹ̀kú àtúntò látàárọ̀. Ẹ̀yin aráalé, ibi tí a wà náà ni a wà gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹ ṣe mọ̀ wípé pàápàá jùlọ ní irú àwùjọ tá wà yìí, bóyá ní àwọn ilẹ̀ òkèèrè àwọn òtẹ̀sùn kí n ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ bọ́ ní àwùjọ tá wà yìí, a nígbàgbọ́ wípé ọkùnrin àti obìnrin ẹnìkan wúwo ju ẹnìkan lọ. Lílé tí kò sì yẹ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Ká gbà pé àwa méjèèjì dọ́gbadọ́gba náà ni wá. Kí ni àwa fi lè mú kí a dọ́gba òun náà ni wípé kí a mọ̀ ìyá lọ́tọ̀ pé ọkùnrin ló ń tọkùnrin àti obìnrin bá ń ṣiṣẹ́, ó yẹ kọkùnrin gba owó tó pọ̀ ju ti tobìnrin lọ. Àṣìṣe tí a máa ń ṣe ni wípé ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìgbà tí a bá kó ọkùnrin tó pọ̀ jọ, a rí wípé àwọn tí wọ́n ṣe tán láti ná nǹkan tán bá gbà yìí gan dójú àmì nínú ilé gan wọn wọ́pọ̀. Wọ́n á kọ́kọ́ fẹ́ tẹ́ra wọn lọ́rùn náà kan tó wọlé. Ṣùgbọ́n kò sí bí obìnrin ṣe fẹ́ rí, obìnrin ò lè kọ́kọ́ tẹ́ra lọ́rùn, pàápàá jùlọ nígbà tó bá mọ̀ wípé àwọn ọmọ òun wà nílé tí òun bá wọlé tí wọ́n sọ pé mọ́mì mi ẹ káàbọ̀, nǹkan báyìí ni mo fẹ́. Nítorí ẹ̀ ni àti pé lẹ́nu iṣẹ́ gan tá a bá wò ó, a rí pé ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ gbà obìnrin máa ń ṣe iṣẹ́ wọn dójú àmì. Ní ọ̀nà alákọ̀ọ́kọ́, obìnrin ò kì í fẹ́ kán yẹ̀ ẹ̀hún tì pé kò lè ṣe é rárá. The word kò lè ṣe yẹn wọ́n á fẹ́ mú kúrò bẹ́ẹ̀, so wọ́n á fẹ́ ṣe pé mo gbúdọ̀ ṣe lójú àmì. Ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì òun ni wípé tí obìnrin bá gba owó, kò ṣeé ṣe fún obìnrin láti kọ́kọ́ yà síta kó wá ní mo kọ́kọ́ fẹ́ tẹ́ra mi lọ́rùn, yóò máa lọlé lọ bá àwọn ọmọ ẹ̀ ní. Ṣùgbọ́n ó rọrùn fọkùnrin láti ẹ̀ tí kọ́kọ́ yà síta kó sọ pé mo fẹ́ tẹ́rẹ̀ lọ́rùn, torí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọkùnrin mi máa ti ń wò pé tí bá délé náà sì máa kó lọ kó gbẹ palẹ̀ ní ilé ètò. Nítorí eléyìí náà ni ó fi wá yẹ pé kò yẹ kí a máa yà á lọ́tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀. Ó yẹ ká rí wípé déédéé nǹkan tí a bá ṣe fún ọkùnrin òun náà ni ká ṣe fóbìnrin. Tí ó bá ṣe gan ká ṣe tó obìnrin kó pọ̀ ju tọkùnrin lọ. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo sì sọ fún wa wípé obìnrin ẹyọ kan tó bá dúore bí ìgbà tí odidi ìlú tó bá dúore ni. Nítorí obìnrin ló máa mójútó lé, obìnrin ló mójútó ọmọ, obìnrin ni ó mójútó ọkọ pàápàá. Tí tọkùnrin bá ní ṣòro níta, tó bá mọ̀ pé òun níyàwó tó ṣe gbẹ́kẹ̀lé, ibi tóun dé tóun rí bí sọ nǹkan tó ń dùn ún, ẹ rí pé irú ọkùnrin bẹ́ẹ̀ yóò máa sáré lọlé ní. Ẹ wá rí pé tí èèyàn bá ní obìnrin ẹyọ kan tó bá dúore bí ìgbà tí odidi ìlú kan tó bá dúore ni. Nítorí ẹ jẹ́ kí a mú kúrò ńbẹ̀ wípé obìnrin ni ẹ jẹ́ kó jókòó náà, obìnrin ni ẹ jẹ́ kán sún sẹ́yìn, rárá o, kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀ o. Tí àwa obìnrin bá sì fẹ́ kí ohun wa kí nǹkan tá à ń fẹ́ kó jẹ́ ṣíṣe àfi kí a fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ kí a rí wípé a fi àwọn tó ti síwájú àfi nǹkan tí wọ́n ṣe bóyá àṣìṣe wọn ká fi kọ́gbọ́n àbẹ́rẹ́ tán ṣe láti yọrí káwa náà wò pé ọ̀nà tán tọ̀ tó yọrí káwa náà tẹ̀lé kí a lè bá gúnlẹ̀ sí ibi tí à ń lọ.
Right. Thank you so much.
Time is fast. But at the beginning, I want us to say there's no society where you wouldn't have the plus and the minus. We still have some men that still carry women like egg around. There are some, I know you might not want to agree with that.
I agree. Actually, I agree.
But what do you say to such men that find women that are forthcoming in their midst to really encourage them to give in more of their best?
I have a story, and let me tell it quickly. Whenever I have run-ins with men, whether it's at institutions like the police or I go to an office, I always remind them, you all have mothers.
Sure.
And then I remind them, if they are parents, do you have a daughter?
Sure.
And when I do, I say, I could be your daughter.
That's a
I could be your mother. So when I do that, I humanize myself and I remind them, what do you hope for your daughter? What do you desire for your mother? That's what you should do to me. So I believe we need to humanize this bias. We need to humanize that, look, what do you desire? You are a father of this wonderful young lady or young ladies, because some men, they have several daughters, which is wonderful. What would you desire for them? Wouldn't you want someone to be really kind? Wouldn't you want the best for them? Wouldn't you want people to recognize that what they have here in their brains is fantastic and they can utilize it and they can get the best value for what they have? When I bring it down to them, I hope, because not always, I hope that makes them realize, I really should think about how I treat women that are around me. I said, I hope.
It's a quick,
all right, thank you. But a quick one. I think we need you to, give advice to the women out there on how they can stand their ground, raise their shoulders and let people know that they can also do what people feel that it's only, men in position that can acquire such.
Wow. Okay. You have so much inner strength as a woman. Do you know that women actually endure more pain than men?
Sure.
So for me, we're already starting on a higher plane because of that. So for me, I want to encourage my sisters. Remember I said we're sisters. We should see ourselves as a sisterhood.
Yes.
That you have so much inner strength within you. You have so much wisdom that God has given you, because imagine carrying a human being for 9 months. That takes a lot of work and a lot of wisdom, because if you are not careful, a lot of things can go wrong.
Exactly.
So you already have so much wisdom, you have so much strength, and look at how much pain you've endured, and you do endure. Utilize it, channel it, use it for whatever it is you want to do. There's nothing that can stop you, nothing. I'm not saying that you will not meet obstacles. I have met obstacles, and we will continue to meet obstacles as long as we're on planet Earth, because that's a part of life. You must hit difficulties, but channel that strength, inner strength you have inside you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We have to go. Our time is up.
Thank you.
Òun náà ti sọ fún wa tá ti gbọ́ yìí. Ní kókó òun ni wípé àwa obìnrin kí a rí wípé nǹkan tí a bá dojú kọ nǹkan tá a lè ṣe ni. Nítorí kí obìnrin tó gbé oyún fún oṣù 9 kó tó ìnira ìrọbí kò ṣe nǹkan tó kéré, so nǹkan tó fi lè mú obìnrin tó lè pa irú ìnira ìmọ́ra á rí pé kò sí nǹkan tí a ní lè ṣe. Àwa ọkùnrin náà kí a sì rí wípé ipòkípò tí a bá wà tí a bá ti rí obìnrin bẹ́ẹ̀ ká rántí pé àwa náà ní ọmọ obìnrin sílé àbíkẹ́ àní ìyá. Bí a bá ṣe lè ṣe sí àwọn ọmọ wa àbí tá a bá ṣe lè ṣe sí ìyàwó wa, ò ní kí a máa ṣe sí àwọn obìnrin tí a bá bá ń bẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ kí a fi àdàgbà ètò yìí ká fi rọ̀ sí orígun tá a dé ìyá kó níyàn kó ṣe àkọlọ́bẹ̀ kó ṣeun. Ẹni tó jẹ́ ó kó àìbínú pẹ̀lú ògo Ọlọ́run tẹ́lẹ̀ mi ò bá gbà tọmọ Ádámù ò bá sí tàdádé. Ọjọ́ Ajé òun náà ni ẹ wọ́n pàdé àwọn ikọ̀ wa lórí àkọ́tún ètò yìí. Títí ìgbà náà, ọmọ yín, ọ̀rẹ́ yín, olólùfẹ́ yín Fatima Samani dágbére pé ayọ̀ àti àlàáfíà òun la fi pàdé. Amina.
Well, we'll say a big thank you to our guests for this particular insightful discussion this morning about the International Women's Day celebration. We wish you all the very best, ma'am, for coming on the show. Until Monday, when we come your way with another beautiful package of your breakfast show, AM Drive. I remain yours, Amina Sadiku Yunus, just saying, Ramadan Kareem to our music brothers and sisters, and Shalom to our Christendom on the latest season. Bye-bye.
All right, of course, our guest this morning has been Dr.